Hello and welcome to another pretty good gaming gameplay special. Here we are playing Kingdom Come Deliverance with Gaz,
Hello.
Controls, and me and Mike on the ones and twos. We're having a discussion here. Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's an action role-playing game with a capital role-playing, developed by Warhorse Studios and published by Deep Silver. Came out on the PS4, the Xbox One, and Windows in February, the 13th of February to be precise. Although it's been on early access for a good couple of years now. Couldn't find a precise date for this, but the earliest post I could see of it is the February 2016. So Gaz has been playing it for about 4 or 5 days.
12 hours in now.
Yeah.
12, 30, maybe a little bit more than that even.
So good enough to get some impressions. Good enough that we're not going to be playing through the tutorial level.
Yeah.
And you can bear witness to some medieval action. Let me give you a bit of information about the game. Set in medieval Kingdom of
That's so reluctant there. I better tell you some facts, I guess.
So now that we got
Can I just let people know what I'm doing right now?
Okay.
I'm kind of exploring this village of Ushits, obviously, Ushits, that's right. So yeah, I'm trying to find a couple of missions. I've just I went around here and I dug up I found one of the treasure maps just now, and I followed the treasure, found the treasure, and
What was it?
Well, there was loads of shit in there. There's this grand bassinet thing, right? It's worth 1.3 thousand greshens, which is fucking awesome. This mail cove, so it was, and this Nurembergian courier. So there's a lot of heavy armor that I found in this grave that I dug up. Which
is there a body in there?
Sorry?
Is there a body?
There were 2 dead bodies, yeah.
Nope, just all the wrapping.
Yeah, crazy.
So this is like a new area of the map that I'm just exploring, kind of thing. I came here to do the scribe, so I learnt to read basically, and so I'm just exploring
It's
around.
good to have that.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Something that not everyone could do back in the day.
Yeah.
In the 15th century.
That's what this game's all about, isn't it? Facts and information.
Well, here we go. The game is set in the Kingdom of Bohemia, right, which actually did exist. It's like the predecessor to the Czech Republic, yeah, in real life now.
Do you feel at home here then in this game?
Huh?
Would you make you feel at home then in this game?
Oh, it's an Eastern European reference. So this is it. This is the whole point, right?
This is the
relevant
whole
because
point.
this game isn't a fantasy RPG. No. It's set in medieval kingdoms that really did exist. You can look it up. The flora, fauna, all the wildlife and all that. Things that really did exist. Rabbits and that. Different types of trees. It's all traceable in history books. And the developers have even gone as far to say that this game is 100% accurate. That's a little horrible history joke there. It's a 100% historically accurate game. Okay? Got that?
So about 6 people are going to get that right.
Yeah, but if you do, it's going to be an absolute banger.
Yeah.
It's going to be a banger.
So yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance. If you've not played the game yet and you just want to see it for yourself, this would be a great video to do so. There's been a lot of extra stuff about the game. But let's just get this out of the way nice and early. We're sticking strictly to game-related aspects of Kingdom Come over the course of this video, and we're not devolving into all that rare
politics and nonsense.
So
and shit,
that's going to be good, isn't it, for you guys? It's going to be nice and peaceful. Great. So the plot of the game: you play as this guy called Henry.
Mike
right?
Williams.
Well, some people even say looks like our Mike here,
Yeah.
and they say that you even sound like him, but that's not true at all.
Which is ironic because Mike has very little interest in this game whatsoever.
Yeah,
which is weird. Reluctant hero Henry and reluctant player Mike. I mean,
well, you
peace in a
could
pod.
have stuck with Hero.
yeah, and reluctant hero Mike.
Hero Mike. Thank you.
The game, starts off like how a lot of fantasy RPGs start, but there's a big dividing line here. So you play some little lowly pleb called Henry, whose dad's a blacksmith. I think that's the best thing going about Henry, really. His dad's a blacksmith. Some Hungarians come and like slaughter the whole village and stuff. And you're the sole survivor of the village, and you're trying to get vengeance.
Yeah, it's not exactly accurate. There's a lot of other survivors, but a lot of other people. A lot of people die.
This video is going to be about 100% historical accuracy from now on. So there are other survivors, but Henry is the character that you're playing through, yeah? So Gaz is on a horse riding through a river as Henry.
Yeah.
In most fantasy RPGs, that's the point where you're going to be the chosen one and start shooting magic out your hands and going on a quest to save your family, only to find out that you're the true king and all that. But this game isn't like that. You know, that's a lot of the people online, and Gaz has even been saying it as well. One of the things that you like is that you just are every man. You know, little lowly pleb, not a lord, not anything like that. It's a regular guy. Can't even read. You have to do a quest to learn to read. Yeah, and you can't fight either. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, you have to learn everything from the very from the bottom. You know, learning to fight. It feels like it's a journey in itself. You know, it's very difficult for you to do anything. Like I said, you can't read. You can't even read. That's how lowly you are. So you've got to learn everything from scratch. You've got to turn yourself from a blacksmith's son into some sort of like knight, in you know, who can take on
so
armies and shit.
The general you know, thread of the game from that point on is, I think, you join a resistance movement, and you know, are part of an effort to restore the rightful king to the Bohemia, to the Bohemian Empire or whatever, and that is the plot.
Definitely not the Bohemia.
No, the Bohemia. Yeah, that sounds like a ship.
I've got it does great name for it, like a sci-fi ship maybe. I think that would be a cool name for
the Bohemia.
Sci-fi is not historically accurate.
Well, okay, right? Good point.
We talked about this before the recording.
I've got to say, you know, that map view there, that looks an awful lot like Sorcery, the mobile games, which is a very nice looking game. That's a very nice looking map. But it does look an awful lot like if anyone's played Sorcery on mobile, it looks a lot like that.
I like the colours of the map and the detail of it.
Looks cool.
If you have a look at the way that everything's presented, like it's all like kind of authentic. You know, all these sigils and stuff, and all the way that the artwork is. It's kind of authentic maps of the period. You know, it's the way that it's designed. Yes. And that's purposeful. You know, that was done on purpose. That was a design choice.
Yeah, exactly. The design decisions by Warhorse here to make everything look authentic as possible. Go from the map to, you know, one of the things that stood out to me when I was watching footage of this months before it came out actually is just the trees, right? I know it sounds silly, but in Europe in general, there's certain types of trees that you see more than others, and hedgerows and stuff like that. And in fantasy games, you always see like loads of pines, and if you're ever in a hot area, it's always palm trees. But this just looks like, you know, it could be even a British bit of hedgerow. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of similar vegetation and things like that. That Europe and the UK, where we're from, share really. And so it's nice to see a game and go, oh, it looks familiar, rather than just all these fantasy pine forests everywhere and swamplands and all this and all that. And that stood out. And then I noticed that you know, the way that the horses are garbed with like the house crest and things like that look like, you know, any medieval reenactment stuff you might have seen, not related to this game. So research is of utmost importance, I think, to the devs, and like you know, they reckon they've been here, there, and everywhere talking to historians. Why wouldn't they be if they're making this game? The world itself, all of the places are real places, yeah? Like, there's some places you can still go to now. Novidva Monastery, Sarsavar Monastery that you see in this game. You can actually go there in real life now. So, especially if you're from the Czech Republic, that must be pretty cool, right? Like, rather than just like going to in the UK, right? We're not even from England. We're from Wales, yeah. But if you ever do anything in the game world in the UK, you kind of like, you know, Westminster Abbey, Tower of London. You know, you want a bit more representation. So all these places that you've got up here,
you can see them all here in the codex, right? So obviously there's a lot of like historical stuff here. You know, there's all these actual places that were, and you can read all about them. And I find myself doing this because I kind of love my history and medieval times, going and visiting castles and things like that. This is another way to learn about history and what happened in that specific period. Just playing the game, and because it's accurate, it's awesome.
I see that you know, when it comes to the game with its bug accusations, someone had commented on the video in the trailer to this video when I was getting media for it, that there's a bug where they keep hunting deer or rabbits or hares, whatever, and when they try to loot them, it comes up saying that it's saying that we're stealing it, and it's because back in the day, if Henry killed a deer, he wouldn't be able to take it. I mean, that's illegal, right? It's poaching. So there's lots of things that you can read in, what's it called? Like the glossary?
In the codex,
The codex, yeah, exactly. So you can use it as an education tool if you want to have a look at how if you don't know anything about like rural Bohemia back in the 15th century. Which, I mean, who doesn't? First of all, have a hard, long look in the mirror and think, why don't I know that already? But then get past that and start educating yourself. Look at this. Merchants. You knew this, didn't you, already? Those two types of merchants and stuff.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
It's all standard, yeah.
2 types of merchants?
Yeah, back in the 14th century.
That's what
you didn't know this about 15th century Bohemia?
It's just this info here, this gold.
Do you find you like a bit of reading, don't you, in RPGs?
I do like a bit of reading, yeah.
in RPGs specifically, like in The Witcher, you find yourself reading books, you're saying, and stuff like that.
Pillars of Eternity is basically a big book.
Yeah.
What Pillars of Eternity is, the game is just a bookmark.
Yeah.
That you place between the books that you read.
That's very
nice.
It's each part of the game is a page of a book. This game here, the codex entries are, Warhorse say, 100% historically accurate. Do you find that that's of any benefit to you, or not really bothered? It's admirable, I suppose, that they want to do that, but it's not the kind of thing for me where it's like it's 100% historically accurate. So it's Assassin's Creed. We all know how I feel about that game, right, guys? It's it's cool, I guess, but.
But you like your fantasy settings, don't you? You like your Lord of the Rings, you like your Witcher 3, you like your...
For me, the real life is boring. The real world is boring. There's no dragons in this, there's no... You know what I mean? I need that.
I know what you're saying. Like, if there was a giant spider around the corner... That was taking kids to their lair... Yeah. It would be pretty dope, wouldn't it? Yeah. Exactly. But then you got other games for that, so this is the whole point.
Yeah, I can see that there's definitely going to be a market for this,
There's quite a lot of differences between this game and your standard, I guess, RPG.
Skyrim or something?
So let's use Skyrim as the benchmark, right? Although that's a fantasy RPG and this isn't. So first difference is, no magic, no, like, flying or dragons or whatever. But there's also quite a lot of changes in the way the game plays. Noticeably, I think one of the things you might have picked up on if you've seen any trailers is the combat's a little bit different in like Skyrim's combat, for example, because it seems to have like some sort of 5-pointed star that appears on your screen when you're having a sword fight. So what's that all about, Gaz?
It's basically the directional, right? So you can get attacked from 5 different directions. Actually 6 if you consider a stab as well, which is the middle one. I just want to end this dialogue. And
really? All right. The centre of the star is also an attack point.
Yeah, so that's a stab as well as like 5 directions to slash. And it's basically they can attack from one direction and you can block it from that direction.
Like For Honor.
Yeah, but with For Honor having 3 directions, this has 5. But there are like blocks that you can do. They call it a perfect block. So if you're pointing in the right direction, you block it and you press Q at the same time, the block button. Yeah. You can kind of stag your opponent or something, and then you can do a counter or something like that.
It sounds like exactly halfway between Chivalry and For Honor to me. Yeah. Because Chivalry's got that like first person, that directional combat, but there's no icon on the screen. Not that I can remember. Anyway. Chivalry's, it looks like Chivalry when I've any like battle gameplay and stuff that I've seen in action. Mm-hmm. But that sounds a little bit more like For Honor, where it's a bit of a game of chess as well, where you've got that there's a set of moves that the opponent can do. And then
Well, I think what's noticeable about this game specifically is you got first person combat. I mean, Chivalry is though, isn't it?
Chivalry is, yeah.
But it is a lot more slower, and it's more of a simulation. They've gone into detail, the devs, and they've actually tried sword fighting themselves, and they've put themselves in that position. So it feels more clunky to the average gamer who's used to like the quick action of something like The Witcher, something where you can just roll away and or whatever. So it's every single move is like very very purposeful, and you can't do it very quickly too. So just anticipating your opponent's moves and figuring all that out. It feels clunky. It would feel clunky for a lot of people, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. That has to be said. But once you get into it, one of the things that people say is that when they first try it out, it seems shit. It's really bad. But once they get into it, and once you get used to it, it's more rewarding in the long run because it takes time to master.
Yeah, obviously the character you play isn't a knight at the time of playing. You start off as a blacksmith's son, so you end up later on down the line. You can have the ability to chain combos together, and just like real life, you can't really improve your max health. So you can't heal mid-battle or eat or change equipment or anything like that. later on, if you use a bandage or whatever healing method it is in the game, it's a slower process. It's not instant heal. So in this, you can increase your stamina during a battle, but you want to be looking out for your health the whole time. And so you kind of use stamina as like a buffer before your health goes down. If someone attacks you and you're blocking, it uses your stamina unless you're using a perfect block. But as you get better at fighting, you can eventually flurry them by chaining attacks together, like combos, if you will, and it'll really put the enemy on the back foot. So the fighting seems to have progression through that sense for experience, and you can increase your stamina. But unlike other fantasy games where you just boost your health bar up, boost your general strength up, this has got a bit more like realism to it. Whereas in real life, people who are better at sword fighting than other people, it's probably down to the fact that they've had more practice and they've got more stamina and are more used to it. So it's same as what you'd expect in this game. Your stamina increases over time, and as does your knowledge of the weapons you're using. But there's a couple of other mechanics that seem to be the sort of spine of this game. It's holding it all up, and immersion is a big thing about this game. And a lot of the people praising this game have highlighted the reputation system. So this is a game where, any good role-playing game should be really, you are in control of the perception the world has of Henry. So you could wear, are you wearing that helmet right now?
Yeah, I've got this huge coat, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I can briefly explain what just happened when I walked into this Ratai, right? I just got here. I don't know if anyone who's paying attention saw one of the guards stopped me and he said, hang on a minute, I need to search you to see if you've got any stolen stuff. Yeah. And I had a dialogue option there where I chose my combat option, or my whatever it is, the two swords option, and it showed my skill on the screen then, which was 9, and in my current position, which is kind of heightened by what clothes I'm wearing or what status I am in the game. Because it was 9, it was higher than the rest. I tried it, and it's the very first time that I've kind of intimidated the guy to let me off. Yeah. And that's because I'm wearing this heavy armor and stuff, and I look like some sort of knight. And that's one of the mechanics, right? Because if I look like a pauper or whatever, I'm not going to intimidate a fucking guard on a castle. But because I had this gear on me, it was quite a pleasant surprise when he backed off, and I managed
you successfully intimidated that man.
That's it. It was yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, you learn from that. So yeah, I doubt you would have got the same response if you didn't have that quite intimidating, may I say, helmet on. Yeah. This is one of the.
Imagine getting headbutted off that thing. No, thank you.
Exactly. So this is one of the big talking points of this game. It's its reputation system. So just like games like Divinity Original Sin or Bloodborne, where your clothing does also affect dialogue options in other games, this is something that you don't see that much in games. So people are like, "Oh, this is really fresh. This is good." If your clothes are covered in blood, guards might approach you with a bit more caution. But if you've got the same set of armor on, but it's completely nice and shiny, they might just think that you're a nice, rich, noble knight, not a dirty, stinking murderer. So reputation can be gained through your clothing, but also your actions, as you can imagine.
Yeah, do you want me to show you that?
You can
on
punch
here,
a man in the
we've
face
got player reputation, and these are the areas, right? So this is how happy all the peasants are with you in these certain areas. Oh, actually, even the traders. You've got a reputation with each of the traders too. So one of the systems is if you talk with a trader, you can barter with them, haggle with them for the prices, and if you fail the haggling and they just like, you're not even, I don't want to trade with you because you're not haggling fairly, you're asking for too much money or whatever, your reputation with that trader will go down and the prices will be more expensive as a result. Or if you succeed in haggling with them, your reputation will go up and they'll offer you things cheaper. And that's just one of the very many little reputation things that happen.
Exactly. I mean, if you want to go a little bit more extreme than that, let's say you steal from a trader over and over again, they're not going to keep trading with you. There's other RPGs out there where you can rob everything from a trader's shop when they're asleep, then they'll go into their shop the morning after, sell it all back, and they'll be like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah.
But in this game, they will just not. It's also the case with people that give you quests. If you punch a man in the face, he doesn't give you the quest anymore because he doesn't want to talk to you. I've seen lots of people talking about that and being blocked out and ruining their game through clumsy or cowardly decisions they've made or was being little bastards and punching people and stealing people. And that's a great element of role-playing, isn't it, really? You know, ruining it by being a dickhead. That's a nice life lesson that, you know, you want to take with you. If you be a dickhead, you're not going to get that far. So, I mean, educational. But, you know, that is a feature that's quite widely sought after. Again, other games have done it before, like Divinity Original Sin 2, etc. But in a lot of RPGs, the criticism is, you know, you can roleplay whoever you want and you'll always be the emperor of the world with the magic fire hands, and you'll always be able to sell things back to traders. In this game, what you do seems to matter a little bit more than the standard RPG.
Yeah, there's a gravity to it, right? And that's exemplified in the save system, because you can't save scum in this. You can only save by sleeping in a bed or using what's called savior snaps, which is this thing here.
Yeah.
And they're expensive to buy, especially early games. So to use that, you get inebriated because it's alcohol.
Yeah.
And you know, you can't do it too often, otherwise you get drunk, and you can't have, you know, the hard to come by or whatever. So your choices do matter, because if you're going into a battle, you can't just quick save beforehand, and if you get killed, you can quick load out of it. You know, every decision that you make, you have to consider that little bit more, because there's more. You know, there could be more on the line because of it, because you can't just quick load out of there.
Yeah, I think the fact that if you drink alcohol too much through saving, you can become addicted to alcohol. That'll have a long-term detrimental effects.
But this is obviously quite cool as well, because drinking is one of the skill trees, right? You can get all these different.
True Slav.
You can get your drinking effects and stuff, so you can level up in actually drinking, which is cool. You can become a professional drunk and get skills because of it.
That is cool.
Yeah, true Slav, man.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. True Slav. You can be you get drunk on 50% less alcohol, saving your hard-earned groschen, and your hangover lasts less. I mean, who wouldn't want that, right?
Cheap date, isn't it? So, what are the other skill trees we've got here then?
Oh, there's loads of stuff. Absolutely loads of stuff.
Alchemy.
Yeah, so alchemy, you can
there's a Witcher potion there.
Yeah, make your own potions and stuff.
Witcher?
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
The wolf symbol.
Yeah, it's got to be. What else have we got?
Drinking, herbalism. It's not very big, that one, but horsemanship, obviously.
So how do you level up? What
so I've gained a skill here. You see, I've been riding around on horses, and I've gained a skill here, a skill point to be able to allocate. Just by doing, which is great. It's just one of the great reasons why I appreciate this leveling up system, because it's like Skyrim, right? You earn it by doing it, essentially. So
is it a one and done thing, or can you put loads of points into like racehorse? Or is it just one?
No, it is one and done. But you unlock at different levels.
Perks.
So I have to be
perks.
level 7 to unlock that one, and you know they get bigger. So what's this one? Your horse is faster but carries less weight. I don't like that one. Your horse can carry more, but it's slower.
Direct, contradictory of the
That's
other
it, yeah. So it's one or the other. So I'm going to learn that one, because I like my horse to be carrying shit. This is all the stuff he's got.
So how have you found yourself playing this then? Because obviously it comes that time in any RPG player's life where they pick a certain path, stealthy, strengthy, magic in a lot of fantasy games. In this one, obviously, that's not the case. Have you been sneaking around much, doing much lock picking? Or
no, I've been playing it kind of like I would in real life. You know what I mean? Trying to be as honest as I can be, make the moral decisions. Someone's offered me a quest for steal something. I'm like, no, I'm not interested, because of maybe I know my actions have consequences, right?
Yeah,
and I might end up in jail or whatever.
In Fallout, you like being a dickhead in there, don't you? Fallout. So in this game, the fact
it's exactly. It's the option, yeah.
Is that fear of consequence? What does that say about human psychology? I'll let you decide.
Yeah.
But so I heard a lot picking. The reason I was asking about the stealth is because I've heard that the theft in the game is quite useful because of the expensive items that you can get. Although it is quite hard. I heard lock picking is actually a really challenging skill.
It is difficult to learn. It's like with all the other systems in this game. Let's try that on here. Let's say this is actually the tutorial box that he gives you.
All right.
Obviously, I've manufactured this. So firstly, the mouse is really sensitive now, right? So I'm lucky I've got a couple of buttons on my mouse to make it less sensitive, which helps me out. Then I've got to find the sweet spot, which is where the thing turns gold.
Uh-huh.
So I've got to keep it in this sweet spot as I turn the lock. So I'm hitting D now, sorry.
Yeah.
And the lock turns, and I've got to keep it in that sweet spot.
I see.
Which is really hard. This is a very, very easy lock. I did that because I'm practiced. I've tried it 3 or 4 times. I know how to do it. Yeah. And because I've got this facility on my mouse to be able to lower the sensitivity really quickly.
Don't sell yourself too short. That looked very
I made it look easy. This is a very hard one, right? I don't think I'll even be able to do it. Yeah, it even tells me the lock is too difficult.
How does it ramp up in difficulty? What is it just?
The sweet spot gets smaller.
Small sweet spot.
Yeah, I can't even find the sweet spot because I'm under leveled for this, obviously.
I noticed that you did just level up, and that, like you were saying, by doing, which is good. Do you have a general level as well then, or is it?
Yeah, there is like a main level, I believe, which is main level 7.
Oh yeah, okay. So all of your stats and your progress
this is your main level here, which you can allocate to, and also you've got strength, agility, vitality, and speech, and all the other things that you got. So there's a lot to it. I mean, there's no two ways about it. You can get your teeth stuck into this system.
It's a pretty fully fleshed out skill tree that, which is something that I've seen a lot of people saying because of the game being realistic. They figured the game might have limited skills available because if there is no magic and there is no, acrobatics or flying, then what's the game gonna fill itself up with? Well, it looks like a lot more detail in the existing mechanics of the game. So speaking of detail, I heard that there's a good dice game you can play.
Yeah, unfortunately, I went to the pub, what do you call it in the olden days? The tavern. That's right. I went to the tavern, but there's nobody there because I'd already taken his money.
So this is that.
I love the little gambling.
About a noble?
It's gambling. It's legal, Mike. It's legal.
Okay.
Oh, you're taking his money.
It's not loot boxes, Mike. It's not loot boxes.
I thought you meant you just stole his money.
No, I took it off him legally in the game of gambling dice, which is really good, and as a mini game in itself, it's really cool. Like one of the things I love about Red Dead Redemption was being able to sit at a poker table and play. So
little things like that help for immersion purposes and stuff like that. Another thing to mention is that we've been recording for a bit now, not seen any bugs. I know it's only anecdotal evidence, so don't take it for key. But the bugs has been an issue that has been plaguing everybody. Like I saw some footage that Gareth had brought in earlier in the week, and it was like buggy, and he wasn't just compiling the bugs to be a douche about it, because if you can't tell already, he's quite into this game. But they were very prominent. We did install a patch just before playing this, but we haven't seemed to see anything. Have you caught anything?
No, just pop in when you fast travelled and stuff is quite But I guess that's the kind of thing they can optimise down the line. It shouldn't be too difficult, and that of course is in a lot of games like this, first-person open world RPG like Skyrim and stuff. It's got loads of it.
Yeah, exactly. This is a game that I guess you wouldn't consider AAA.
No,
it's a bit of a weird one actually. The conception of this game, because it was partly crowdfunded, although it wasn't necessary monetarily. What I mean is Daniel Vavra,
lead developer,
lead developer and one of the founders, right? Well, he was pitching this idea around like years ago, 2011, and he secured funding from a couple of people. One of them happens to be one of the richest men in the world, Czech billionaire Zdeněk Bakala.
Wow.
And the studio was founded, Warhorse, in 2011. In 2014, the studio launched a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter with the goal of generating 10% of the budget, which was $5 million back then. But the main reason was just to sort of prove to the investors that there is a potential audience for this game and desire, like anything really. Whenever you're pitching something, you've got to prove that there's a market for it, right? So that businessy reason was the real story behind the Kickstarter. So they wanted to raise £300,000, which is 10% of the $5 million budget, something like that. The reason was to prove that there was a market for it, and in the end, it raised over like £1 million, £1,106,371. Had loads of backers. Even after the game was off Kickstarter, people were still backing it, and by the end of it all, Daniel Vavra announced that through a blog post, I think, that they'd raised over $2 million, 38,000 backers. So there was a huge support for this type of game, huge market for it, and now the game's finally out. Seems to be doing well. There's a lot of back and forth about these bugs, obviously, which has affected review scores and things like that, but that's something that can always be ironed out. in the future. And speaking of the future, one thing I noticed in the Kickstarter, which really piqued my interest, was they said that they were up for VR support because this game would look really good in VR. I think I like the lighting a lot.
It would be great. As immersive as it is, and once they fix the bugs, if you stick, they did it for Skyrim, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And if they do it on this, it would be awesome. It would be really awesome. Literally transporting yourself back to a medieval, like early 15th century Europe. You know, it's a science proposition for someone like me who's really interested in this kind of history.
Checking it out. Were those wenches reading then?
Were they? No, they were sewing.
They're in a bit of sewing.
I can pickpocket them here, but I'll probably get in trouble.
Yeah. Will they have anything on them?
Should we try
pickpocket?
pickpocket?
Just like lowly sewing peasants.
I mean, we can try.
Show me that nobility. It's a pickpocket. Does this work like...
Oh, she caught me.
Just punch her. Is that how it works? Oh, keep your paws to your... Hey, you're trying to rob and fool.
Okay,
so
she's on the run now, so let's...
Why is she running away?
Yeah, let's see if we can take it down.
Yes, okay, so the hunting bow is something that...
What are you doing now? You're murdering this woman?
Yeah, I'm murdering her. She's going to tell a guard and I'm going to get in trouble.
This is noble.
I do not want to get in trouble, let's put it that way. So,
the hunt is on. This is taking this video to a new level.
Human hunting. Gone from a plagueless as a noble to hunting a human.
Where is...
You discovered a nest.
Where has she gone? There she is.
Oh.
Come back here, bitch. I've put my...
so you put your helmet on. This is it.
This is horrific.
Is it?
The blue I can see flashing on the screen.
I don't want to get in trouble, you know what I mean? That's Mercy Killer. There we go.
Mercy, you were doing her a favour. You was doing her a favour.
What was I saying about being
a
good guy?
She didn't even say thank you.
Yeah. Well, on the plus side, if you pickpocket her now, she won't catch you, right?
Oh, look, I've got a trunk key. That's nice.
Go and see what they're worth.
What a sad story that was. Because this is so realistic, that makes that kind of thing. that makes that whole thing that just happened all the more like traumatizing. The fact that she was just sewing. It's like she had no magical hammer.
Yeah.
She had there was nothing going on in the background.
I like how her mate didn't even stop. Mate's still going.
Oh, she's run off again.
She'll be back. This happened a lot.
She's always running away when people try and pickpocket her.
I noticed when you were in combat then, if you can call it that, that your sort of vision was a blue glow, and I believe that is to indicate that you are out of stamina.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was out of stamina at that point.
That's an example of some...
This other person's just... You've just murdered her friend, and you're in her house stealing all her stuff.
Maybe she will react to me.
But why are you taking all the stuff out?
She thought it was courtship.
She is a maid at the end of the day, and I...
It's the tradition at the time.
Look it up, Mike.
Them into the woods.
Look it up, Mike. So, yeah...
He's the miller, yeah.
Is that him?
He's the owner of the establishment.
That wasn't his wife, yeah?
Yeah, the millers are generally the people who you can sell stolen stuff to, so maybe you can sell... stolen stuff to him. Should we try it? His own stolen stuff. I don't know if this is going to work. How can I sell stolen goods?
Yeah, I found these things somewhere nearby.
Okay. I just want to point out, you guys said that this would not happen about 10 minutes ago. You both went, none of that. You know, you can just murder someone, steal all their stuff, and sell it right back to them. That's not happening.
Yeah. Look, this is the stolen stuff, right? Okay. So I'm gonna. This is what I've just picked up.
So he should know that this is it.
He should know that. So let's just see what happens here.
Test.
So let's sell him all his stuff back.
Oh, he's having it.
No. It goes to another dialogue box, right?
Oh, you like putting this forward now?
Yeah, I put it in the basket. Yeah. Obviously, you have a basket.
He says these shoes are familiar. Game of the year.
Are you sure you haven't murdered my wife?
So I'm going to haggle, obviously.
At
this point, he should have noticed.
He's terrifying.
At this point, he should have noticed.
Let's see.
So I failed, but I used my perk, which is final offer, which gives me another chance, essentially. So I'm going to go for 99. See if he...
So he's bought his wife's
yeah.
So all that stuff we were saying earlier.
This was, well, there you go.
I guess it doesn't always work out, huh?
You don't need Lance Cobalt for that one. That was case cracked.
I've heard of him. The studio had been in early access for a bit before this game came out, and the blue visor thing where stamina was...
Okay, let's try this.
Oh, what?
Stick a key off him.
Of him?
Yeah, I'm pickpocketing,
You've done,
right?
You've done well.
I did well there. So I've got.
You're wearing armour. It's quite a good.
He's asleep. I'm gonna get this one. I've got to do this in time. Yeah, both keys. He's gonna get me. Oh, he got me.
We know what we do when they find you. There we go.
It's another murder.
Okay, yeah, this murder is happening. I just need to switch
This
up.
is going. This is going down.
We've just watched the downfall of Gareth Evans.
12 hours of role playing.
Whoa!
I actually, before I came in here, I read a PC Gamer article that
Why is he
said,
still asleep?
I ruined my Kingdom Come save through a cowardly act. I really hope it's not the same case.
Okay, he's dead. Oh, he fell down there.
People will notice your bad behaviour. There we go.
And start to hate you.
Notice how it didn't do that when he killed the woman in the woods. Do you know what I mean?
Didn't
There's
what?
a bit of a difference there. But yeah, like I was saying about the blue visor thing, that was fan feedback. People were saying, hey, we don't like it that we have to keep watching our stamina bar when we're in the middle of a battle. There's really way we can
see, this is a glitch. He's just glitched out of here. Where the fuck did he go?
And the studio saw that and changed it. So maybe if Warhorse Studio are watching this right now,
I doubt it.
what's up with those dead women?
His body glitched out of here, so that was the first bug that we've experienced. He went somewhere. He was right there, wasn't he? I've got his body. I picked up his body. That's what it was.
What?
Yeah, I'm carrying his body. I'm like, where's his body? He's right here. I've got him, so I'm gonna hide him in the bush. I thought it was a glitch.
You've been walking around like the village square.
Let's dump him in the trough.
With the woman.
Bury them together.
This is
So yeah.
Obviously you can.
I might get away with this.
No one's going to see that.
You can find yourself caught up in a whole world of trouble in this game. As of any RPG, really, woods and murder just go together, don't they? So, especially in the medieval times. That's the old saying. That's what they say, don't they, in Bohemia? But yeah, it looks like a fantastically well lit game. When I say well lit, I don't mean it
lit,
like
awesome.
Just very lit slang. I mean, I really enjoy the lighting in this game, and I really think that's one of the
things it does really well.
One thing I've not actually seen, because every video I've seen of it is someone talking over it, and now you've got headphones on. What's the music like? Is it nice, authentic?
It's
sounding?
really awesome. It is fantastic, in fact. And I'm not one for commenting usually on music. It's just there as a background for me. But the music in this is fantastic. It really is. It was commissioned by an actual composer, and Daniel Vavra, in fact, something to do with like his childhood and upbringing, where his parents would play him classical music or whatever from the age of something. Yeah, so it's really authentic from the period, but it was commissioned specifically for this game. And now I'm stuck. So the music itself, is really good. You can actually get the soundtrack. This horse is stuck. I can't get off. I'm fucked.
Is that a great place to end the video with the horse in the river?
With the actual bug, the one actually
file is ruined forever.
Your horse knows what you've done, mate.
Yes, I'm not leaving.
I am not getting out of this trough.
It's because you put that heavy horse perk on. If you put the racehorse perk on, this wouldn't have happened. You'd be bounding out of it.
One thing before we go, we haven't touched on yet, is the world itself, right? And an irregular RPG, open world RPG, I think the rule of thumb is that something's got to happen to you every 30 seconds. That's what the devs say. And if you go out into the bush, something got to happen to you every 30 seconds. But this bucks that trend, right? This doesn't follow them rules. This world is quite barren. It's not supposed to be full. It's supposed to be more realistic. And this is one of the reasons why I kind of love what they're trying to do here as a development team. Is they're not trying to put themselves. They're trying to tick the boxes of like accepted development procedures, right? They're not trying to do what everyone else has done. They don't mind that.
Can you, please, for the love of God, move?
I honestly can't.
Get the map open.
Get that map open.
Look at the map.
Yeah. Let's look at the
Let's fast travel.
Thank God
for
that.
So.
For the love of God, I like it.
This is a slower game by default. It's
even
not
going to give. Travel's not that fast.
It's not going to get exactly. You've got to manually go there too, and you might experience go past a random occurrence. You might have somebody come across someone on the road.
I had that in, I think it was Dragon Age, where you could get, if you're going in the city from one like street to the next, fast traveling. You could get mugged like on the way, and then you'd have to stop the fast travel, and you'd have to do a battle. So.
Yeah, it's like if you try and go to sleep in like a Morrowind or Oblivion, isn't it? You get interrupted. But yeah, you're saying about the barren world and stuff like that. But the important thing to remember is this isn't down to laziness. It's all down to design.
Creative decision. Yeah,
and there's been quite a lot of bold decisions really with the creation of this game, deciding to not have unlimited saves.
Yeah.
And deciding to not go fantasy. And deciding to have a barren world.
And I think the point is that you can easily see why this game would put a lot of people off because of it doesn't play by the usual rules. It's not as playable outright. The combat isn't as easy to jump into and do. The world isn't as like full of quests and stuff. So you can easily see why people say, "Oh, this game's shit," because they're used to so much. It done a certain way, so private area. So yeah, I mean, I love this game. I just want to leave that.
I just can imagine reminds me of the Metal Gear Solid cardboard box. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm imagining that it's like he thinks he's sneaking around, but everyone can see.
Let's take this off. Let's put that hat on.
Get a nice hat on, and then.
Let's put some nobleman's boots on as well. Let's get some class in the scene. This is a bathhouse, so I can clean myself up, and you might be able to see.
Does that do anything?
Your stuff gets dirty. It doesn't actually show that anything here is dirty, or it gets bloody if you. This
counting conversations or something.
Yeah, this sword is bloody. This hammer's bloody with the dead maidens and whatnot. So if I go into a conversation with dirty clothes, then it might affect my outcome because people might think or if I've got blood on my clothes, people might be intimidated by that. So that's a kind of part of the mechanic too.
So trying to tell a guard
you can
that
wash
you've
yourself.
Not murdered anybody when you're covered in blood is a hard sell.
It's like a kid saying, "Watch out."
Yeah, exactly. Like baseball trotter. Yeah. So yeah, the reputation system again includes dirt and blood, which is a nice detail. To be fair, I think the reputation system, for me, along with the lighting, two of the most cool decisions in this game, as well as a limited save system, which I am a fan of. Anyone making a decision to not auto-save is great.
We are going to finish this video soon, right? So before we go, though, Mike, having come into this game with not much interest in playing it, has this done anything to change your perception of the game?
No, this is exactly what I thought it was, and it's just I don't know.
It's not your cup of tea, which is fine.
I think you look at something like Mount and Blade, and I am excited about that, and I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's the pace or something, or just the freedom. And I don't know. There's just something about this that
doesn't appeal to you.
Yeah, and I wasn't interested in early access or anything. I wasn't even aware of it really, other than what you'd said. And I guess that's how I make my decisions. Sometimes I just kind of feel like, nope, there's not for me. And although there are some nice, I think like what you were saying about the reputation system, that is interesting, and I imagine there will be more of that in other games in the future. It feels like a Molyneux kind of idea. Like, imagine if you had blood on your sword. Wouldn't you be able to intimidate people with it? It's a cool idea. That's got to be the best thing I've seen of it so far.
Here we go. We've got a transfer occurrence here. Oh, it's the random woman beggar crying on the street. Why not? So before we finish off, I don't know your closing thoughts. My closing thoughts for this is, I feel that this is going to be a lot of people's game of the year, simply because it does a lot of things. It will be. Mark my words. A lot of people will call this game of the year because of what it does and the way that it does it. Unlike a lot of other games, and it offers things to a particular type of gamer, that no other game does currently. Maybe 5 or 10 years ago, we had more games like this that were supposed to be difficult or whatever. But right now, there's not so many games like this, and I feel it's a contender for me for Game of the Year. That's for sure. But a lot of other people will just discard it and think it's a shit game, and that's fine. That's up to you. But I can see why. Yeah,
I can see it's like how Divinity Original Sin 2 last year. It ends up on its own plane, because if you like that type of game, doesn't matter how good like Red Dead Redemption and all that is this year. If you like this type of game specifically, there's not going to be another game that does this. So it'll be in a different plane. I mean, I think that's a great place to end it on, and good prediction. Potential game of the year already, and we're only in flipping February. Hey, how's that? And there probably won't be any bugs either by June, so that's also good as well. Right, cool. Well, thanks very much for watching. Remember, if you were affected by any of the killings in today's programme, leave a comment below and we'll just remind you that it wasn't real.
I will be setting up a helpline.
We'll get Lance on the case. And
I want to
There we go. Cheers for watching us. I've been joined by Mike Williams and Gareth Evans in the cockpit. We'll see you next time.